Hello, my loves. I'm Jessi Moon Six, your sister in the craft, and this is the melting pot.
So let me tell you a little bit about Samhain. Samhain was the ancient Celtic people's holy day or holiday, and it was the celebration that marked the end of summer or their new year. And in modern Irish, Samhain translates literally to summer's end. So this was a celebration of the summer's end and preparing for the winter, the long, dark time of the year. The Celtic people split their... You hear my animals upstairs, sorry. The Celtic people split their calendar into basically half, marked by the half that was light and the half that was dark. So spring to summer's end and then fall to winter's end. So they marked their calendar by the solstices and the equinoxes, and this was how they kind of kept track of all of their holy days or holidays, the sabbats. And through worshiping and celebrating these sabbats, they were very connected to nature and the cycles of the world and the cycles of life and death and rebirth. They were just really in tune with the natural ebbs and flows of the universe. A theme that you see throughout this celebration is a theme of duality, of the light and dark, the death and the rebirth. You have the death of the earth, the leaves falling from the trees, and everything's kind of turning brown and slowly dying off for preparing for the cold and the cold time of the year, the dark half of the year when the nights are long and the days are short. Times were really hard back then. I mean, this was make it or break it. If they didn't have a bountiful harvest and they didn't have enough crops or meat or preserves to make it through to the winter's end, it meant death. So these were challenging times. So summer's end was kind of the last celebration of the light and preparing for the darkness. And a lot of time for them it meant taking inventory of what they had. Sometimes it meant making animal sacrifices and having to take stock of what they didn't have or what they were going to have to compensate or make up for. And though times aren't challenging in the same way now, I think a lot of us, especially those of us who live in places where you can really feel the seasons, like here where I am in the Midwest in Indiana, we have extreme seasons. Each season is very distinguished from the next, and you can really see the earth cycles. And that is one thing I've always loved about it here. Through living in these places where winter really hits hard, I've learned, though we may not struggle in the same ways as our ancestors did, we are still struggling through these cold winter months when we can't go outside and we can't be in nature the way that we're used to being. A lot of us here in the Midwest experience seasonal depression, just not getting enough sunshine and just not being able to go outside and be in nature the way that we had been so immersed for the rest of the year. So though it is not a difficult time in the same way, it is still a difficult time for a lot of people. And this can be still seen as a celebration of, the end of summer, the harvest is over now, and let's prepare for the winter's end. You can also incorporate that into your rituals if you want. You could use this as your witch's new year, and you can kind of write out your resolutions for your year. What do you need to do to prepare for this harsh winter ahead? What do you need to do to prepare for the darkness ahead of you? Take inventory of what you have from your harvest, mentally, emotionally, financially, creatively, all of these things. Take inventory of yourself, take inventory of your life. I'm so sorry. Ruby, lay down. Oh, goddess bless. Really just take inventory of everything that you've gathered through this time of light, enlightenment, from spring and till now, and what you've learned where you still need to grow, what patterns you need to acknowledge. Just really take a look at the cycles of your life, what you've learned in these previous cycles, and what you have to do to prepare for the cycle to come. So that's, again, like I said, if you want to throw that into your Samhain ritual, that is, I think, a great one. And you could use pendulum work with this as well, partnered in, you know, to talk to your guides and ask them, is there something that I'm missing? Is there something I'm not seeing here? Am I being honest and fearless in my self-inventory? Is there anything that I'm missing or maybe refusing to acknowledge? I'm sorry if my voice is scratchy. I'm still getting over my cold. But just really take a good hard look at yourself so that moving forward into the cold, you're prepared. You know it's going to be hard, but that's kind of what the algae's rune stands for. Especially to me, I see it as a symbol that represents, like, I need your protection. I'm calling in protection and asking for protection, but I'm ready to fight this battle. Like, I'm ready to take it on. And that's kind of what we can see this as an opportunity to do with this hard winter ahead. Even if you're in the warmer places, and this can symbolically represent a time of rest because the earth might not be as active where you are. So just really take a look and see what you have to do to be prepared for this battle ahead of you, and make sure that you can face it with confidence. And again, Samhain is also seen as a time where the veil is the thinnest. And this is a great time to communicate with lost loved ones. So this is a time that is really great to connect with lost loved ones, to build altars in remembrance of the people that we've lost. I lost several people in this last year that meant a lot to me, and I'm going to celebrate their lives. And I'm going always, my father, who passed away in 2014, I always just try to bring things in from them that day to keep them close, and so that if they are around, hopefully they will find me and they will feel drawn here. And so if you have belongings of any of your lost loved ones, these are things to incorporate in their altar, you know, pictures, maybe necklaces or rings, or just anything that reminds you of them, anything that they could have possibly put their energy on or into that will help you connect with them a little better. You can incorporate that into your altar as well. In a way, you can make a ritual. I'm getting hot. In a way, you can make a ritual out of so many things. For Samhain, what I'm going to do tonight is prepare dumb supper, which is when you prepare a meal for your family, for yourself, and then you prepare an extra plate lovingly. You cook this meal, you bless this meal, you pray over the food, and you leave this extra plate set at the table with you while you eat. Or maybe you would like to do it in a sacred space, and you bring the plate down to your altar space, and you sit and you eat your dinner in silence, in remembrance of your lost loved ones who have lost their lives, and of your ancestors, or the lost spirits wandering in the world. And then at nighttime, before I go to bed, I leave the plate outside at my door. Something I also do on Samhain, because I work with Hecate, is I like to prepare her a meal. It is customary to leave her a meal at the crossroads, so I will also prepare a plate for her and to take it to a crossroads to meet her. And this is a time when it is believed that the veil between our world and the unseen is the thinnest. So that is why it is believed that lost loved ones will come home to visit. And just like the Days of the Dead celebration, to celebrate the life of the dead that have walked before us, who have walked this earth before us and have moved on to another plane.
This is a day of remembrance, of honoring. And it's just such a beautiful, magical time of the year. So I plan to do a Dom Supper. I plan to go out and do some work by the light of the moon. The moon is my ruling planet, so I tend to do a lot of lunar work with her. And to just take some time to reflect. So many lost their lives with this virus and with all these hard things, being in isolation. So the suicide rate has spiked, the addiction rate has spiked. It's been a really hard time. And I think that this is a great time to just be still and to remember all of those who have lost their lives and to be grateful that we were called to wake up today. I saw it in a video somewhere, somebody say, like, not everybody woke up today, but you did. And I thought that was, that's really inspiring in a corny way. Now I say it to my daughter every morning when she's waking up complaining, I don't want to go to school. I said, hey, girlfriend, not everybody woke up today, but you did. And that's something to celebrate. So it's just a time for reflection, a time for celebrating those who have lost their lives, celebrating our lives, and still being here, and letting them know that they're not forgotten. We know that they walk amongst us, not just on Samhain, but every day of the year. This is just that time when the veil is the thinnest and it's the easiest to communicate. So I do also plan to be doing some pendulum work. So yeah, that's kind of what I have planned. It doesn't have to be naked and dancing by the moonlight to be magical. Now that sure sounds like a hell of a lot of fun to me, but it doesn't have to be that. And there are so many ways to incorporate rituals into our everyday life and for this special occasion. So I would love to hear how you're celebrating Samhain or how you like to celebrate rituals in the comments down below.
I think there's so much to gain from bringing these ancient practices to the modern day. I think that we have become so disconnected. From nature and ourselves in so many different ways, and it's manifesting as anxiety, and you can see it in the statistics. We as a collective are more anxious now than ever before. So what can we do, each of us individually? And that's why this was always so important to me, because even if I can just connect with one or two people and I myself am making a change, that's helping to shift the collective, and we are all becoming a little less anxious. So these are all things to keep in mind when doing this work. I totally lost my train of thought because my animals would not sit still. But I was determined to film this video today. My brain fog since being sick has been just so awful. It is terrible. So filming has been a real treat today. I have a lot of editing to do. We'll leave it at that. Well, another thing to incorporate in a ritual is just making noise, dancing, drumming. I found this little wired garland, belled garland at the Dollar Tree, and I made a bunch of witches bells for all my doors, and I also wear them as anklets. I put them on the other night and tried keeping a rhythm with them for ritual work to just kind of experiment and see how it would work out. And I will definitely be using them in my Samhain ritual. So just making noise, making sure that you're activating all those energy centers within yourself, and you are giving yourself permission to be alive. Because this is a time to celebrate life and death and rebirth. So make sure you're doing things that are activating you in a way that really makes you feel alive, and giving yourself permission to be silly and to dance and to sing and to make silly bells to put around your ankles and whatever. Just explore. That is what makes ritual work so beautiful when working from an intuitive place. Of course, there may be some rituals that are more intricately designed, that call for specific things, but when you're designing your own rituals for certain purposes, like for the Sabbats or the holy days, or whatever it may be, the lunar cycles, the new moon, the full moon, whenever you're doing these rituals and these celebrations from your heart, and you are allowing yourself a chance to remember and to call in that ancient wisdom that has always been yours and it always will be.
That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey, and I hope you have a magical day. Bless!